I just want to clarify that when I was picking cartoons to design logos for, I tried to steer away from cartoons that had the main character's name as the logo. So Chowder, Camp Lazlo, Ed, Edd n Eddy, Johnny Test, Courage the Cowardly Dog, those cartoons kind of have it instilled in the font because the logo is the name of the character, if that makes sense. It'd be like redesigning SpongeBob. That font is so iconic, you kind of can't. I chose the cartoons Regular Show, Adventure Time, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So starting with Regular Show, we started with Mordecai, and I tried to emulate his character design and put that into type. So he's tall, long, thin, and he has a pretty roundish design of a character, making him seem overall friendly. So with this in mind, I chose to use a tall, thinner typeface and added a smooth stroke along the outside, making it seem more friendly, made the color the correct blue, or that type of light blue, and there's Mordecai in type. Rigby definitely gave me handwritten vibes. I don't know why. Maybe because he's a raccoon, so I'm thinking like scrappy or like garbage can like vibe. But this was pretty simple. The only thing I really changed was the tracking, which is the space between the letters of the actual name, and then just found the right font, and that was pretty much it. Benson could have gone in a lot of different directions. Originally, I wanted it to be all capitals, so it gave off the kind of like screaming, intense, fierce tone he has when he like yells at Mordecai and Rigby. But after messing around with that, it didn't really fit his character that much. So I went the more traditional, simple, gets the job done route, having it be a sans serif, really easy to read, and just regular capital first letter, lowercase everything else, which I think matched his energy a lot better. Like, it's boring and it's just there, but that's kind of just Benson. Skips was actually really hard to design. He's like the mentor character in the show, so like he's supposed to be super reliable, knows everything about every problem ever. To translate that visually, I tried making the font really sturdy and thick, so it's reminiscent of maybe like a solid building or a brick or something just sturdy. But then too much sturdiness didn't feel like him either, because his actual character design is like kind of fluffy with all his like hair coming out of his arms. So I left the text to be bold and thick, but I changed it to regular cap so it wasn't like screaming his name. Then I changed the design of the P just because the P looked like kind of lame. Changed the color, made the overall like outline of the name a lot smoother. And I think the color is pretty much what saved this logo. Pops was pretty fast. I wanted to go with like a playful but still old-timey feel. And I think in one of the episodes, Pops is actually writing something, or he's a kid and he's writing, and it shows he's writing in cursive, also adding to the more old-timiness. So that's where I got the idea to have his name be in a script or in a cursive font. Again, I just played with tracking and it turned out, I think, really well. Moving on to Adventure Time, Finn is a preteen or a teenager, so automatically I wanted to make sure his font was thicker and more playful. But then to also make it feel more personal, since Finn's the only human left, I thought it would be cool to have it be like a script, or not a cursive, but more handwritten feel. And the last time I watched the show, spoiler alert, the show's been out 10 years. Finn's arm gets cut off and it like grows a flower, which then turns to a leaf. And he also has like a leaf sword. So I wanted to make the script and everything connected with the words reflect that like vine. I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool to kind of like put both of them together with like that green gradient. So it looks like a leaf, but then it's also his signature. For Jake, I wanted to connect all the letters together in some way because he can like stretch to make anything. So I thought it would make sense to have every letter be pretty much one continuous flow. And this took a lot longer, plus through the kind of sketches I had or the fonts that I chose, this looked nothing like how I anticipated. So after changing my idea a couple times, I thought it would be cool to have the colors kind of be similar to his eyes in the show, because his eyes are really interesting where it's like white and then there's a 3D like shadow behind. He doesn't have a pupil or anything, it's just that shape. So I did the same thing with the name being white and then the back of that being black, but then to make it a bit more legible, I added another like block element behind the whole name with the same color of him. So it was kind of hard to read, kind of easy to read, but it still felt like him. Ice King is the next one, and this one I think is the one. I found a black letter font based, like, it felt like it was from medieval times to give it that like knightly feel because he's a king. So I added a couple sharp points to fix kind of the C and the E because for some reason they didn't actually look as sharp as they could have been, I thought. And then I went and added some cracks through each letter, making it feel more, again, brittle, cold, icy. And then to make it feel like an actual block of ice, I copied the front layer, changed the gradient, duplicated it, went to the back, shrunk the size, and then it kind of had like a 3D feel. Moving on to Princess Bubblegum, I immediately knew, since it's candy, I was going to use the inflate tool, which is pretty, I feel like not as many people know about that tool. I only learned about it as I graduated college, but it literally makes anything look like it's made out of clay or a balloon or just like a reflective surface. So I use that to actually give like texture to the font, but then to make it really easy to read, I stacked the type so you could just read one then the other and then change the colors, because there's a lot of letters. Her name's really long. And for the last character in Adventure Time, we have Marceline. And if you don't know, again, how, but she's a vampire. And if you look at the letter M, there are 2 stems, which could perfectly reflect fangs. So I use a thicker serif font, meaning there's like feet on the end. Again, if you don't know anything about graphic design, this probably is going over your head, and I'm surprised you clicked on it. But having the type be thinner, like condensed, and it's serifs, then that felt like it was more powerful and like traditional and scary, where it's like castle vibes, professional. I don't know. I then wanted to differentiate, obviously, the logo a bit. So I made the top of the eye red, just to, I don't know, hint at blood because she's a vampire. Next cartoon we got is Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which I know this technically breaks literally the preface that I said in the beginning of the video of not choosing a logo with the names of the characters in it. However, I thought this font wasn't as ingrained compared to like SpongeBob or Chowder. So I started with looking at Billy's giant ass nose as the design, and that got me thinking, that's huge. He's a loud character, so that's huge. And then he's really dumb, which means he's not complex or super interesting or intricate. So again, to visually make kind of that dumb, basic, blocky feel, I went with a really thick font. And then I overlapped the letters just to give a bit more movement, because he is really playful. He's like the main kind of comedic relief in the show. Mandy's original idea, which I thought was really cool, was gonna be to take the outline of her hair and then make it the letter M in her name, because her hair kind of is the letter M. But after a while, it kind of started to just look like the Batman logo, which was a problem. I even made the rest of the custom font in the same like pen tool style I made her hair. It didn't really work, so I played it a bit more safe and went with, again, this font was like a great backup option. I don't know what I would have done if I didn't find it. And then to even keep more of that hair idea, I just kept the like black hairband that she has across her head and put it through the font. Grim was another one of those really tough ones to design, because I had an idea for using a condensed serif font, but I had no clue where else to go after that. Thankfully, after looking at the show for so long, I found that when Grim either had like his gown or cape, whatever, his hood off, his bones were designed like really geometrically, so it wouldn't be super intricate. It was really simple. Also, his hands like didn't connect to his body. They were just floating. So to mimic this kind of geometric floating style, I took rectangles and I put them through the font as an outline. So the rest of the font looked like bones. And then if I kind of put like chops in between with certain shapes, it would look similar to like jumbled up bones. I don't know if that's exactly what it looks like. And then in the intro of the show, you'll see like the skull of his head is like kind of used everywhere. So I thought it would make sense to use that as the tittle of the eye. Yes, that's the name of the top of the dot of the eye. And the last cartoon that we have is Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, which again, I only did 3 characters for this one because I ran out of time. But Blue was the first one, and that was easily, like, there was no doubt in my mind what I was gonna do with this logo. Since Blue is literally just a rectangle with curved corners at the top, I thought it would make sense to keep that curvature or like circles through his name. But yeah, I pretty much made the B custom just with a rectangle, 2 circles, took the same rectangle and just curved the top corners, so that was the L in the same shape as the character, and then the 2 O's were just the same circles. Mac was also designed with his character in mind, where his square, rounded, rectangular head was the letter M, and the letters A and C are very round characters, so it made sense to pick like a wide extended font and then take the base kind of head design I took from the character, put it on the letter M, and then had it all fit cohesively. For the colors, I made it based off literally what he was wearing. So his brown hair, his red shirt, and his tan pants. As it's being done, I just changed the whole name to being that dark red because it looked a lot better and it didn't look as jumbled. Last but certainly not least is Wilt. And again, this one, probably potential favorite. If you look at his character design, you will notice that his left arm is like super short. That's like the main thing that stands out from him. Besides, he's like 9'4". So to keep that unique aspect, I wanted to get this like really thin, tall typeface to make him tall. And then I chose the last letter T since it's kind of looks like an arm, and I made that really short and put in the top right so you could, 1, it's easy to read actually, and then 2, it actually reflects kind of anatomy of the character. And I think this logo fit perfectly. Now, here are all the designs laid out by cartoon, and damn, this was a really fun project. I definitely didn't think it would take as long as it did. Like looking back, I should have just chose one cartoon, like regular show, and just done like the main 5 and spent more time on it. But I guess I wanted to be more interesting, and I was interested in doing multiple cartoons to have more variety. I think in total I spent around 9 to 10 hours on designing alone. Again, took 2 weeks to put this video out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's like only 12 or 13 days. Thank you guys so much for watching. That's gonna be the end of this video. Comment which one was your favorite or which cartoon I should do in the future, and have a great rest of your day.